Hello, I'm Luke Nella and welcome to Best Replays of the Week. In this episode we have the heaviest steel wall, a two-fisted top gun, and some truly epic artillery. Enjoy! When choosing your tank for a steel-walled game, the mouse seems like an obvious choice. In practice, the 200-ton monster isn't nearly as tough as it looks on paper. Let's see how Alice SMD from the Asian server manages. The mouse rolls east at a stately 20 km/h, parks at an angle and blocks the enemy's way. 5 high-tier opponents start pounding on its armor, but Alice is not impressed. Enemies form a 90-degree arc, so angling the huge turret is very important here. Alice picks off an E4 with a well-timed shot and deals damage to others without taking any in return. The M103 charges into close combat. It's no use. Even at point-blank range, it can't get through the thick hide of the mouse. A mistimed shot gives the IS-7 a chance to put a hole in the steel wall's turret. The foe comes out again, hoping to repeat his trick, but Alice is ready to punch out its lights. It's time to press ahead. Artillery hammers the IS-4, but the mouse's gun fails against its lower glacis. An allied IS-7 puts the opponent out of his misery, and the push can continue. Incline slows the tank to a crawl, and now that the hull isn't perfectly angled anymore, every tank seems to penetrate. Luckily, the mouse has an enormous health pool as well. An artillery strike takes out the 103, and it looks like the defenders are starting to run out of warm bodies. Alice pushes towards the enemy flag, dishes out a couple of good hits, and ends the match by finishing off the last opponent. Good game. Wow, look at those numbers! 17,000 damage bounced in a game where most opponents were tier 10. Add in the 11,000 damage plus spotting, and I have to say, this was a pretty spectacular steel wall. Let's continue with some Top Gun mayhem from the EU servers. The IS-3 is of course the classic brawler of World of Tanks, and oh wow, it's German Blackout, who knows how to throw a punch. The battleground is Lakeville, and our top tier heavy heads into town, looking for a fight. A promising one with a rival IS-3 ends before it has time to properly get going, so German Blackout goes looking for some sparring partners. Tracking an 87 renders it helpless, and a follow-up shot puts it down for good. An IS-3 is found bullying a low-tier ally. A good kicking should teach it some manners. Suddenly, a sneaky opponent blows off the track. German Blackout hunts it down and follows up by taking on all the other machines in the area. Just a single kill from all that action, but the night is still young. The Jagdpanther is a bit of a sitting duck, so that's kill number 4. A nice silhouette of an SU, but this brawler isn't much of a sniper. The TD takes some damage regardless. That LTTB isn't quite fast enough. Kill number 5. The Oni is busy with an ally, but it's also guarded by a T-28. German Blackout knows what to do and flanks the giant with a pair of APCR shells. We're finally up to Top Gun numbers, and there's just a single ally left. Good! The little SBG is unlikely to steal any kills. Mwah! The RT attempts a suicidal charge, and fails. A small mistake as the IS-3 peeks out and takes a massive hit right through the track. Blackout returns the damage and gets moving just in time to survive the next one. Well, now he's down to just 6 shells, and 4 of them are HE. One of the 4 is wasted on a quick shot at an SPG that luckily flails about as well. The next HE round fails to penetrate, dragging the fight on. The Su-122-44 charges in before the RT is even dead. German Blackout manages to turn and take the SU's attack head-on, and it gets a second attempt before the IS-3's reload is even done. Boom! And stay down! 2 shells left and 1 last TD to deal with. German Blackout attempts to predict where they'll come from and sets up an ambush. Unfortunately, the T-28 had other ideas as it comes into view behind the IS-3. Blackout spins around and takes out the TD's track with an amazing snapshot. The opponent still has a repair kit, however, and it's immediately moving again. But when the shot comes, the end does not. No time for shock. Blackout pulls away and the T-28 fires again, but it's still not enough. This is it. The last chance to win is to put everything into the final punch. It penned! The HE shell punched through the rear plate of a T-28. What an ending! A fade-in's finish is always impressive, but penning a T-28 with HE as the last shell is something else. That is the cherry on top which makes German Blackout our Top Gun of the week. The Scout of the Week is Jutankas from the American region, and they drive their Tier 7 Soviet light tank LTT-B on Malinovka. As an incredibly agile tank with relatively good armor, the LTT-B can be played in several ways. Jutankas starts by sprinting up the hillside like a mountain goat, and lighting up the advancing enemy force. Artillery is a danger, so our scout can't afford to stay still. Things start getting a bit heated, so Jutankas climbs back down to get some cover. The battle on the hill is no place for a light tank, so Jutankas opens up the throttle and heads west. There's a T-32 somewhere across the field. Ah, here it is! Coming for the RT. The scout lights them up, attempts a tracking shot, then runs away before the heavy can retaliate. It takes a while, but Allied fire wears it down. The team is 4 points behind, and it's time to kick it up a notch. Jutankas sends the Moots to the garage and goes looking for more victims. Biggest Zwei spotted. RT, you may fire at will. Hey, Prototype, do you think that turret will make any difference? No, I didn't think so either. The Korean pattern goes for the SPGs. Jutankas tries to save them, but they are both dead by the time the attacker finally goes down. There's somebody in the capture circle. It turns out to be an Oni making itself an easy target. That leaves 3 more to deal with, and the last ally dies moments later. The 2-minute warning sounds as the M12 comes into view. It takes some killing at this range, but there's still plenty of ammo. The Type is down to a single hit point. Jutankas swaps back to high explosives, receives a hit, and charges forward. Evasive driving was a good call, as the last RT fires from ambush. A double tap with HE blows it up, while the Type misses its second shot. One last explosive shell for one last enemy hit point. The Type is ready, and it lands its shot, but it doesn't really matter. It's over. Well played, Jutankas. That was a proper carry scout. 4,000 assistance, 3,500 direct damage, and fighting to win from start to finish. Good work. This week's defender is Master Scorp from the EU region, driving a legendary Type 59 on Sacred Valley. Master Scorp starts the game in the east, skirmishing around buildings and claiming a couple of personal kills. That second one may not have been much of an achievement, however. The base is under threat, and it's time for the defender to earn that award. Master Scorp picks a sniper's position and begins by softening up an IS-3. It turns out that the Type's gun isn't that great at this range. A nosy T-30 goes down, but the base won't be safe from here. The T-69 is a brief distraction, but then it's time to save the day. A quick snapshot resets the capture from 78, and Master Scorp falls back to deal with an onrushing T-21. The last ally dies, leaving the defender 1 against 6, but not for long. Still, 1 versus 5 is no laughing matter, and Master Scorp switches to APCR to thin their numbers. After a few tries, a shell punches through the front of an IS-6, bringing the number down to 4. Fighting multiple opponents under artillery fire is never a good thing, and the type's armor is only any good from the front. Master Scorp takes out the Borsig and lands a good hit on the T-34-3. The dead Super Pershing gives just enough cover to turn the tables on the Su-101. Amazingly, the Chinese rival shot gets absorbed by the trap, and even the artillery strike misses. Nice, just one more shot and this is done. Except the last APCR round ricochets off into the sky. Oops. The last HE shell will have to be enough. Master Scorp bounces the incoming shot, gets on its flank, and leaves it with 45 hit points. Now what? With no ammunition remaining, the type backs off, bounces another shell, and pretends to try the flanking attack again. The only way to win this fight is by ramming, and amazingly, it seems to be working. First once, and then a second time. Nicely done, and it looks like the arty wasn't ready to fire either. Master Scorp goes hunting, and spots the M40 M43 on the move. The first ram is more of a gentle nudge, and the defender keeps going around the cliff to give it another go. The SPG doesn't want to play this game, however, and tries to run, but it isn't fast enough. Another collision breaks the track on both machines, and then it's just a matter of keeping the SPG tracked and nudging it to death. Nice! Maybe the reputation for the Chinese to all know Kung Fu is well founded after all. Saving the base and getting 2 kills without any ammo is quite a trick. To wrap up this episode, we have 2 players from the EU region, fighting as brothers-in-arms. The battle is Tier 7, and the map is Sand River. We have Mr. Cringer Pants in an AMX EOC Biz and 20 Zol Rider in an FV304. Cringer Pants heads out as a spotter, and Zol Rider gets ready to do some serious bombardment. The targets come rolling in, and it's boom time. The FV starts raining down shells, and the EOC dashes around madly, keeping the enemy spotted and making itself an impossible target. The FV304 doesn't hit very hard, but the barrage from Zol Rider does not let up. The damage mounts up, and the kill count keeps rising. Cringer Pants has found some big game lurking on the riverbed. Just a single shot and the EOC is off again. Allies are starting to run out and the enemies are getting a bit close. The platoon mates pull back a little and go back to their deadly routine. Watching this takedown almost makes me feel bad for the other team. Boom! Cringer Pants takes another hit, but that doesn't stop the platoon from making short work of the Churchill 1. Burn, baby, burn! The pair of OIs seem a little irate, but luckily the carcass of their younger sibling is here to provide some cover. Zol Rider has trouble getting through the behemoth's thick skin, but the EOC's oversized boomstick is perfect for the job. Nice shooting, Mr. Cringer Pants! That just leaves a T-3485, and Zol Rider has a hunch about its hiding place. Not that bush. How about this one? Yep, notice the missing dust cloud? That's a hit. The enemy takes 2 more hits before finally leaving the bush. It charges straight for the FB, but Mr. Cringer Pants cuts it down before it has a chance to fire. It's game over. Excellent work, you two. That cooperation between spotter and artillerist was flawless, and you carried the game from start to finish. What a great replay to end the episode on. That's all for this week. It seems like I need to brush up on my Kung Fu to be as good as some of you lot. I'm Luke Neller, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. You know, I'm Luke Neller, and welcome to Best Replay of the Week. Go West! Go West! So this could be Master's Corp, Master Scorp, or even Master's Core, maybe. Although there's no S on the end. Explosions! I remember the outtake. Oh, aye.